Welcome back to my channel. I am Slaylisha. Let's get into this look today, okay? Do you see it? Do you see the material? Okay. So Pat McGrath recently launched her newest palette. That is the Pat McGrath Mothership Mega, the Celestial Odyssey. And as soon as I saw the color palette, I was like, I need it. This palette has all of the shimmers you can need for your holiday season. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna start with one today. And this one, let me tell you, you guys might have heard me say this today that I was just going off the dome, but this one came out so magnificent. Let me close you up. Look at this. Yeah. And then also in my last eye look, you guys were like, you need to tell me how to do that face routine, and I was like, your wish is my command. So here we are back. We got full face action going today. This is pretty much my latest and greatest fall routine. So if you would like to see how I get this done, please stay tuned. But if you've gotten this far into my intro, you might as well just stay. Go ahead and click that subscribe button, because we know that you want to look fly this fall and winter season. So guess who's gonna show you how to do that? Yes, Slaylisha has you covered. Without further ado, go ahead and stay tuned. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna jump right in on our brows. I didn't go ahead and record it because obviously we have done a brow video, which I will link. But we're gonna start with our P.Louise base, and we're going to go ahead and prime our eyelids. Now, I know this is light, but bear with me, okay? I have a vision, and you'll see in a minute. Okay, so we're gonna make sure it's packed in really good. I'm gonna go in with this Kat Von D concealer brush, and I'm also gonna make sure that it's packed really, really nicely and evenly distributed. And without rushing, I'm just gonna make sure that all over has a even amount of product. I don't want too much creasing, which you can see already kind of started to happen. So we just want to make sure that we get into that base as much as possible. Okay, so cue the drum roll. We are getting right into Pat McGrath's palette here. And for my transition shade, I'm just gonna go in with this brown color. And the name of this first shade is Electrique. So taking Electrique and a fluffy brush, I'm gonna start by dragging that color all across my brow bone. Now I did obviously want a slightly lighter shade, but you know, we just went with it. You know, it's our first time trying this palette, but I was really impressed. These pigments came off like butter, like literally like butter on toast. I know obviously it's sped up, but when I tell you, like, it took me like no time to put this color on, I was shook it, okay? And we're just gonna pack that in as even as possible. And then I'm gonna go in with my next brown shade, and her lovely name is Saharan Sunset. And I'm going to put her in a little bit of a V shape towards my outer eyelid area. I don't know why, just because. But that's how I'm going to go ahead and start packing that there. Then I'm going to take Nocturne, which is this really cute mauve shade, and I'm just gonna try to blend those edges out, but again, the pigments, I couldn't keep up. I'm just going to again buff that out really nicely as much as I can with more of a dense but still fluffy brush. And I'm going to repeat these 3 steps. You'll see off and on, just to make sure we have our blends, our colors are looking really good. but again, focusing on the first 3 shades. So I own quite a few Pat McGrath products, but this is my first eyeshadow palette, and I was just so impressed. Like, there was no problem blending these colors, especially how much different each 3 of these colors are, and they just ended up blending so beautifully. So to be fair, I was a little biased trying this palette out. The Pat McGrath Sublime Foundation is probably one of my favorite foundations to date. I mean, this is the only foundation that literally works for me both in summer and winter time. I don't know how, but Pat figured it out. But I had to go ahead and still try out this new eyeshadow palette for you guys, of course. So I first went ahead and started to get rid of that creasing from the P.Louise foundation. And while I was at it, you know, just going with the flow, I just decided, you know, it's been a while since we've done a real cut crease. Like, you know, I've done this process obviously on camera where I do like the soft crease, but I was like, you know what? Let's go ahead and cut some creases. So I went ahead with the first shade. Again, I believe that was the Electric, and I just brought that all the way down. And then before I cut my crease, I just wanted to make sure that it was a, you know, smooth transition between where the crease is cut and where I was going to place my cut crease colors. Hopefully that makes sense. But I'm just going to go ahead and blend those 3 colors all the way down to my crease area. And then I'm going to take the same P.Louise, and I believe this is the 0.5. Of course, it'll be listed in the description box for you. But I'm going to take the P.Louise 0.5 and go ahead and start cutting my crease. So if you're watching this, let's go ahead and do another giveaway. Who would like Saturday brunch tomorrow? For this week's giveaway, I'm going to have you place the wine glass emoji along with your Cash App in the comment section, and the first person to do so gets brunch on me, or maybe 2. Let's see how quickly you guys catch this giveaway. We'll see how many winners we have, but again, we're going to put the wine glass and your Cash App in the comment section. Okay, so now that our crease is all cut up, we're just gonna go over it again with that Kat Von D concealer brush and just make sure that it's packed in nicely. Again, anytime you're going to do a cut crease and you put any type of colors on top of your concealer, you now have more than one layer to work with, so you want to make sure that you're setting in between. And again, with this cut crease, as you can see, I didn't do it the traditional way, starting from my inner eyelid. I went a little bit on the nose, and then I wanted to go ahead and use a shimmer color, so I went in with this color Noir Moon, and oh my gosh, this swatch does not do it justice. Like, my mouth is open because obviously I'm excited about how great it looks, but I love it. It had like these beautiful green and like almost, I don't know, ruby colored flecks. I was just so happy. And we're just gonna place that Noir Moon towards the end of our cut crease, and then you'll see me go back in with that oh my goodness, what was the name of that color, with the Saturn Sunset. And I'm just gonna blend that out so that the transition is not too harsh. Okay, so now I have obviously decided we're just gonna do shimmer all across the cut crease. So I'm gonna go in with this next shade. And at first I was like, ooh, green, but I was like, nah, we're gonna have to go ahead and hit this blue. And that is called actually Corrupt Copper, which the blue has a lot of silver, I noticed, reflects in it, but it definitely comes off, I don't know, blue teal to me. It looked a little bit more, or much more lighter on camera, but I did love it. I love the reflects on these shimmer colors. I mean, they are just gorgeous. And just look how easily it blended in. I'm using just a flat concealer brush to pack it on, but I mean, even with just using the concealer brush, I mean, just blended beautifully. And then I went in with this lilac shade, and this shade is called Lotus Luxe. And I also want to make sure you guys saw swatches of these that I'm using. This lilac shade comes off a little lighter on camera, but I think you can see the payoff a little more in my photos that I posted on Instagram. Obviously, hopefully you are also watching us there on Slaylisha Beauty. And again, once all those colors are placed on the cut crease, I'm just gonna make sure there are no harsh lines, especially since I did a last minute cut crease type deal. And so I'm just gonna go back and forth with those brushes and make sure all the colors just frolic and marry perfectly on my face. So obviously 3 colors was not enough, so I went in with this last shimmer shade called Palladium, and I took that on the outer portion, as you can see where I brought my cut crease aside of my nose, and I'm just going to pack that in with a dense brush. And finally, that is the finished eye look. And of course, we're gonna go in with our handy dandy, most trusted Milk Hydrogrip Primer. And we're going to place that all over our face for our base. And we're gonna go ahead and pack that in with a foundation brush. I've recently started using a foundation brush rather than my hands, just because I noticed with the stippling brush, it just happens to work into my skin a little better. I know you want the tackiness, but I don't know. You guys should try it and let me know what you think. Next, I'm going to go in with this Urban Decay All Nighter Translucent Powder and the most fluffiest brush I own. And I'm just going to lightly go ahead and set that primer with that translucent powder. Next up, we're going to go in with Selena's Rare Beauty Concealer. And this is in the shade 380W. I so love this concealer, especially now. Like, honestly, for the summertime, this was one of my go-to concealers. If you notice, it is full coverage, and as soon as it blends into my skin, I mean, literally it's like foundation who? Foundation why? Foundation where? Because this concealer brings it every time. Definitely love it. If you guys have not tried Selena's Rare Beauty line, I definitely want to go ahead and recommend this. Love it, the foundation and the concealer. Next, I'm going in with my NARS Soft Matte Foundation, and this is in the shade Tahoe, and I'm going to go ahead and also spray that again with some setting spray, and I'm going to blend this all over. And this setting spray is by Charlotte Tilbury. I'm going to spray that all over, and then I'm going to take my Morphe M446 and go ahead and buff that all over my skin. Now, bear with me. I know she's looking a little yellow on camera, but finishing after it oxidizes, it looks so beautiful on my skin. So, I know, we give you Oompa Loompa right now, but you know, just wait for NARS. She be showing up. She a little late, but she show up. Obviously, now that I'm editing, I'm realizing that, yeah, you probably should have did the Pat McGrath foundation for the Pat McGrath review. So Pat, if you're watching this, my bad. Okay, so now that our foundation is set, we're going to do some contour and highlighting. This is the Huda Beauty Tantour Contour and Bronzer Cream, and this is in the shade Medium. I'm just going to place that along the upper portion of my cheekbones as well as the sides of my nose. Next, we're going to go in with our Real Techniques brush and go ahead and blend that in. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take my Morphe brush, which I don't have on hand, but I will make sure to list in the description box. I love this because it's fluffy but tapered on the ends, and it perfects my nose contour and blends it out so beautifully. And then with the leftover product on my brush, I'm just going to go ahead and taper up my jawline. So now that I have all of my contour placed where I want it, I want to just go ahead with that buffing brush and just make sure it blends in nicely with my foundation. Next, I'm going to go in with two concealers. First up being the Smashbox Studio Skin Flawless 24-Hour Concealer. And this is in the shade Medium Warm Golden. I'm going to place that towards the inner corner and the outer corner of my eye. And then afterwards, I'm going to go with my Juvia's Place Concealer in number 13. And I'm going to place that towards the center of my eyes as well as the top of my forehead. So one of the tips to avoid creasing with your concealer is to go ahead and spray it with your setting spray and then go ahead and wait. You're going to go ahead and let that setting spray and concealer get a little bit tacky before you blend it out. So I'm not sure if they actually sell this brush anymore at Sephora, but it's definitely one of my favorites for contouring and highlighting. Usually I use this for my contour, but I decided to use it for my highlight today just to try it out, just to see how defined I can get that highlighter going. And I'm just gonna go ahead and blend out that highlight I placed underneath my contour line. Next, I'm gonna go in with my Morphe E12 brush. Also love this brush because of how tapered it is. I can get all the way into those innermost corners of my eyes. And I'm going to go ahead and start to blend out that concealer that I placed on my eye, on my forehead, and down the bridge of my nose. So I use this brush the same way I would use a beauty blender, and I'm just going to pack in that concealer. It's nice and tacky now, so I'm just going to pack it into my skin. I'm going to do my best to get it into any fine lines, and then with anything, I'm also going to make sure I go in with my original foundation brush just to make sure everything blends together smoothly. So again, here we're going in with our contour brush, our foundation brush, and we're just gonna make sure we have no harsh lines. The contour line I noticed, came out a little bit more harshly than I would prefer. So I did go in just a little bit more with that foundation and that contour brush, and I just softened it just a tad. Okay, so we're gonna go in with some more goodies from Huda Beauty, and this is the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Baking and Setting Powder. This is in the shade Blondie, and I'm gonna take this triangular setting brush, which I got off Amazon. I also try to make sure to link that for you. And I'm gonna pack that setting powder in everywhere I place that concealer. So once my setting powder is in place, I'm just going to take a fluffy brush and go ahead and wipe away all the excess powder. So once I have dusted away all of that setting powder, I'm going to go in with a Juvia's Place bronzer palette, and this is in the bronze tan collection. And I'm going to go in with that same Morphe brush that I used to contour my nose. And I'm going to bronze around my nose. And then I must have deleted it, but I also bronzed up my cheeks just a little bit as well. So we're going in with another new favorite, which is the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin Blurring Powder Foundation. This is in the shade Y445, and we're just going to place that as our final powder product on the face. Next, we have our Juvia's Place Saharan Blush Volume 2 palette, and we're going to go in the shade B. So we're gonna go one more time with that Charlotte Tilbury setting spray. And since I couldn't find my hand fan, we'll just go ahead and dance while it dries. Ayy, ayy, get it, ayy. My playlist really be fire. Like when I'm recording, I always make sure I got all my music set up. And if I wasn't copyrighted, I'm telling you, I would drop these for every video. So next, I'm gonna take my Morphe 8Z Star Blazer highlighter palette and my Morphe E53 with this shade Celestial, and I'm gonna go ahead and place my highlighter. This shade on the highlighter palette is a bronzy, but it has more of a peachy gold undertone, so I felt like it would complement the look that we have going today. So I try my best to use a different highlighter, but this Fenty How Many Carats Diamond Balm, it's just too good. So I just went ahead and took such a teeny bit, and I decided to place that right over my highlighter. Next, we're going with the MAC Magic Extensions Mascara, and we're just gonna go ahead and coat this on our lashes before I go ahead and put my eyelash extensions on. So I originally was going to keep the focus on my upper lids, but then I decided to go ahead and smoke out the bottom lash line. And this is again with the two brown shades, the Saharan Sunset and the Electric. So I took a flat brush and I went in with Saharan Sunset and just lined it right under my waterline. And then right behind it, I went with Electric, which was the lighter brown shade, and I went ahead and smoked it out. And then of course, after I was done placing the eyeshadows, I went in with the MAC Magic Extension Mascara and just coat my bottom lashes. So the lashes that I'm featuring today are from a Black-owned brand. This is the Asia Mei Lashes. I will go ahead and make sure to link all her information below. You can find her, I believe, on her website or Instagram. And the lashes I used today were so comfortable. I wore them all day. I loved it. There's no itching on the band. They were nice and comfy. She has lash styles from 17mm all the way to 25. So if you're in need for some new lashes, go ahead and check her out. So finishing off with the lips, this is a Juvia's Place Luxe Liner in Cola. Then we're gonna go ahead and fill in Cola with the Smashbox Always On Liquid Lipstick, and this is in the shade Deep Thoughts. So I did love how this looked matte, but I was feeling kind of glossy today, so I went in with my Fine Drip Lashes. This is another lash brand that I love, and this is their gloss and the number 4. I want to say that the retail name is Coco, but don't quote me on that. I know it's the number 4. So this is our completed look. Judges, we have a 10 out of 10. Pat, I'm so happy to own this palette. If you're seeing this, I hope you guys are able to grab it too this holiday season, and I'll bring you more looks coming from it. See you next Friday, Slay Babes.